Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for May the 22nd, 2020. We have a new match set for WWE Backlash. I will get to that in a few minutes. We also have a trade to SmackDown from Raw. Stay tuned for that. Shout out to the chat room for watching live, and shout out to everybody else watching on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support. Let's go ahead and get started with this recap. We kicked off SmackDown with a Memorial Day video package, which was very nice. And then we had the dirt sheet with The Miz and John Morrison, of course. They made fun of Otis. They called him Mr. Honey Baked Ham. And then they talked about Braun Strowman and how Strowman stuck his nose in their business. And they do not understand why. It doesn't make any sense because Otis has the Money in the Bank contract. Morrison said it doesn't make sense, just like Becky Lynch choosing to have a child with Seth Rollins. Ouch. That was brutal. Josh Mansfield, first super chat of the evening. Thank you, Josh, with $2. He says, hey, ho, ho, new Universal Champion. The Miz, maybe? We'll see. Anyways, we had Miz and Morrison continue to make fun of Strowman, talking about how he was replaced in the Wyatt family by puppets. And then we had puppets shown on the big screen. Rejected Firefly Funhouse puppets. One of them started vomiting poop. I'm not even sure what the hell was going on here. We had fart noises and burping and all kinds of gross bodily fluids and sound effects being made. I'm sure Vince McMahon was backstage saying, "This is some good shit, pal." We had Braun Strowman come out. He was sick and tired of this, as was I. I was very happy to see Mr. Strowman. He came out there, he threw around the chairs, and then Miz noted that Bray Wyatt is not done with Strowman yet. And Miz would know because Miz had a feud with Bray Wyatt. Bottom line is, this all got turned into a singles match between The Miz and Braun Strowman, which Strowman won with relative ease via the power slam. After the match, Morrison challenged Strowman to a handicapped match at WWE Backlash for the Universal title, and it was later made official at Backlash on June 14th. It will be The Miz and John Morrison against Braun Strowman, the greatest handicapped match ever. No, WWE did not say that, but we might as well just use that billing. Why not? Every match on the card should be the greatest ever of whatever type of match it is. WWE should just say, screw it. We're going to troll the fans. We're going to go all the way. Why take a half measure when you could take a full measure? Hab Connell with a $5 super chat says, AJ Styles is traded when there's a wild card rule. Edge and Orton are billed as the greatest match of all time. Can WWE do anything that makes sense? That's a great question, Hap. And I'll get to AJ Styles here in a minute. AJ Styles was, in fact, the name that was sent over to SmackDown. Now, does that make sense? I'll get to that here in just a moment. Ken, terminated by Google, with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, Rift, when has toilet humor ever been funny? It's legitimately disgusting. By the way, I have a feeling that King Corbin has been traded to Raw, but I digress. Ugh, that sounds miserable. King Corbin on Raw. I mean, Corbin on either show. Like, I like the guy, I like the gimmick, but it just rubs me the wrong way. Like when Corbin comes out on TV, I feel like I want to change my channel. I feel like he doesn't get good heat. I feel like he gets that X-Pac go away heat, speaking of things that make no sense, I never understood the X-Pac go away heat. I always liked X-Pac. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, puppets have more personality than Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Well, let's not throw poor Ricochet under the bus. I mean, Cedric Alexander, maybe you have a good argument for that, but I think Ricochet has some personality. He just doesn't cut a very good promo. I do think he has a likable demeanor to him. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, look at the ratings. That tells you if it's good heat or bad heat. Good heat is generating interest, not driving away viewers. Solid point there, Kayfabe. And just because a crowd boos a guy in the arena doesn't mean that's translating to people at home being compelled to see the storyline play out. Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. He says, WWE should create a Thursday night show called The Unemployed and have Baron Corbin be the only superstar on it. That would be funny. That would be a nice way to troll Baron Corbin. That's one argument for bringing back a babyface GM, just so that person could make this ruling strictly for the purpose of screwing with Baron King Corbin. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Josh. He says, the puppets have more personality than Rift. Sorry, bro. Ouch. That was a low blow from out of nowhere. That was like an RKO out of nowhere, Josh. Ouch. I mean, you could have at least said Virtue instead of me. Come on now. Did I say that? No, I'm just kidding, Virtue. You got a lot of personality. You got more personality than half the WWE roster. I'll say that much. So anyways, this opening segment of Raw with the puppets was bad. To me, this was the one bad segment on the show. After this, it actually got pretty good all the way through the end of the show. So if you watch the beginning of SmackDown and you get discouraged, don't give up. The rest of SmackDown was pretty good. I'll say that. We had our match in the IC title tournament. Shinsuke Nakamura versus, as I mentioned a few moments ago, AJ Styles. Michael Cole via post-production announcement, and you could clearly tell the difference in the quality of the audio, that this was something dubbed in last second. AJ Styles is now officially part of SmackDown. Does that make sense? I mean, I guess now it makes sense to have AJ in the tournament with him being officially part of SmackDown, and this is how you explain him being in the match. Psycho wants to know if Nakamura is a face again. I have no idea. There was no sign of Cesaro. Maybe, maybe not. Is AJ a face? Is AJ a heel? Who knows at this point? But anyways, these guys had a pretty solid match. Maybe a better match than their WrestleMania match, dare I say. I think it had a similar amount of crowd heat, that's for sure. But in-ring wise, I feel like this was probably better than the WrestleMania match. Maybe because my expectations were not high for this. Like with WrestleMania, I'm expecting an all-time classic, and here I'm just like, whatever, and they actually delivered a pretty solid match. Went back and forth between these guys. Took a while for AJ to put away Nakamura. Calf crusher, Nakamura got to the ropes. Styles clash, Nakamura kicked out. Eventually, with the phenomenal forearm, AJ Styles did pick up the victory over Nakamura to advance. I'm fine with AJ being on SmackDown, although I wonder, what does this mean for a potential Undertaker AJ Styles match? Is that over? Is AJ a face now? Guess we'll have to wait and see, but I'm fine with a trade every now and then to try and shake things up. It's fine. Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I really do appreciate it. He says, I got it. Bring back Feast or Fired and have Baron Corbin be fired. Where would Baron go, though? He's got to go somewhere. Maybe he could go to NXT to boost up that star power because it's working wonders for Charlotte Flair, right? Sticky B with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, Virtue has personality, but a face made for the radio. Ouch. You know what? I disagree with that. I think Virtue's a good-looking guy, and I think you got to cut him a little bit of slack there. We had Bayley backstage with Sasha Banks, and Bayley said that she does not want Sasha in her corner because she wants to prove that she can win on her own without Sasha being the difference maker. So we had this match, Bayley versus Charlotte, champion versus champion. Charlotte at one point grabbed Michael Cole's headset, called out Sasha, dared her to come to the ring. Later on in the match, Bayley ended up reversing a roll through from Charlotte and held on to the ropes for leverage to score yet another victory over the Queen. Bayley beats the Queen again. I'm a little surprised by this. I was almost thinking Sasha would get involved and that would lead to Bayley losing to Charlotte. So I like this finish. I like Bayley beating her, even if it was by dirty tactics. I'm cool with it. Backstage, Sasha gave Bayley a hug, but Bayley teased a little bit of dissension, but then said she was just joking. She knew that Sasha believed in her and all that stuff. We had a mixed tag team match. Otis and Mandy Rose against Sonya Deville and Dolph Ziggler. Still no sign of Tucker. Where is Tucker? Anyways, early on in the match, Otis got sent into the steel steps. He was down. He instructed Mandy to get back in the ring and continue the match, which she did. She got beat down for a while. Otis eventually got the hot tag, but then Ziggler managed to tag in Sonya, which means in a mixed tag team match, the women fight the women, the men fight the men. It was back to Mandy and Sonya. Sonya hit a running knee to the back of Mandy and pinned Mandy 1, 2, 3 for the victory. I like this finish. I like Sonya Deville picking up some momentum. Good stuff here. After the match, Ziggler gave Otis a super kick for good measure. I think they should have saved this match for Backlash, and they could have billed it as the greatest mixed tag team match ever. Like I said, I think WWE should just go with that theme. The greatest whatever match ever for every single match on the card. Go big or go home, as I say. We had Jeff Hardy with a backstage promo. He said he's on a new path, and that is to win the Intercontinental Championship. Brought up how it was the first singles title he won, and now he can win the title again and go full circle. We had a promo from the Forgotten Sons. I forgot what they talked about, though. Then we had The Miz and John Morrison interviewed backstage. Morrison talked about how Braun Strowman doesn't have a good track record in handicap matches. Miz then said they're going to make Strowman's life a living hell. Yada, yada, yada. We had a video package for Sheamus and Jeff Hardy leading into our main event match. Sheamus dominated most of the match. He threw Jeff Hardy on the announce table. He yelled at Michael Cole, saying that Cole spent 4 weeks putting that piece of crap over Jeff Hardy. And then Sheamus was like, "What about me? What about Raven?" He didn't say what about Raven. He just said, "What about me?" 3 Irish curse backbreakers, but then Jeff Hardy fought back, went for a swanton, Jeff Hardy did. Sheamus got his knees up, and then Sheamus went for the brogue kick. He missed. Jeff Hardy, figuring that a roll-through worked for Bayley, did a roll-through of his own and picked up the 1-2-3 over a very game Sheamus to advance in the Intercontinental title tournament. So we got some interesting matches for next week in this IC title tournament. We got AJ Styles versus Elias, and then Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy. Should be a pretty interesting SmackDown next week. Overall, I thought this was a good SmackDown. You take out the beginning segment, and I thought this was a really good SmackDown. So I'm going to give it a solid B. That opening segment brings it down. Otherwise, I would have given it a B+. What do you guys think in the chat room of this SmackDown? Go ahead and give me your letter grade for SmackDown. Let's see what you guys thought here. Shady Snake with a B-. By the way, Shady Snake, best wishes to you over in Midland. Not too far from where I'm at. Tic Tat Tat with a B. Matt Helms with a B. Calvin Bowman with a B. The legendary Mike B with a B+, and Michael Wayne with a B+. So pretty solid letter grades here for SmackDown. Christopher Mace gives it a B+, and Rohan gives it a B-. Nathan Washington with a B. So good stuff here for SmackDown. Caleb Jacobs with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Caleb's way out there in Oregon. Says, all Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman needs now is the United States Championship for each of them to be a Grand Slam champion. Wait a minute. No. Strowman had the IC title. See, I get mixed up who the champions are, but you're right. Strowman goes for the U.S. title. He'll have all the titles in WWE. And Drew McIntyre, U.S. champion. I mean, I don't see that happening anytime soon with him being the WWE champion, although he could be a double champion. I would not mind that. Maybe they could get rid of the U.S. title. Wishful thinking on my part. Thank you, Caleb. And Josh Mansfield with another $2 super chat. Thank you, Josh. Jeff Hardy versus AJ in the final with Hardy winning. Maybe. I still think it's going to be AJ. I think AJ is the best bet to win the tournament, but who knows? Jeff Hardy could get his last run. See, I think Sheamus could end up costing Jeff. Daniel Bryan advances, Daniel Bryan versus AJ in the finals, and AJ wins the title. I think that's a more likely scenario. I'd rather that than Sheamus interfere in the finals. You know, if you're going to have interference in the semifinal. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. He says, confession, I never liked Matt Jackson's sideburns. Maybe we need Mr. Burns to come in and instruct Matt to shave off those sideburns. The game is on 100 with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Jeff Hardy wins the IC title and faces Sheamus in the future. Yeah, I get the feeling we're going to see another Hardy versus Sheamus match, but will it be for the title, or will Sheamus, out of just pure jealousy and wanting revenge, interferes and costs Hardy the match? You would think Sheamus would try to help Hardy and then challenge him for a match rather than just cost him the title, but I could see Sheamus costing him the title. I think that's more likely. And Ken, terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, I feel a little embarrassed that Greg and I are the only marks of Corbin. The King is a solid worker for a big man. I wonder why so many crap on him. That's a great question, Ken. It's just something about him. I don't know if it's the overexposure or the way his promos are scripted, but when he talks, I just want to watch something else. Like, I never get that feeling like I want to see somebody kick his ass. Every once in a while, I do. Like, I did think the dog food thing with Reigns, in the end, was a nice storyline, but they dragged it out too long. Like, Corbin getting the dog food poured on him should have been the end of that storyline, and they had to drag it out another match. That's sometimes an issue when you go too long with the storyline. And plus, I think maybe because Corbin's been a heel for so long, he's been like a career heel, it does get stale after a while. Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat, thank you, Josh, says, your thoughts on The Undertaker's Last Ride documentary so far? It's been really fascinating hearing from The Undertaker out of character, and I am curious to see what he says about the Goldberg match. I did bring this up on the No DQ review about that. I still wonder, why did Undertaker agree to that match? Undertaker has said in this documentary, it's not about the money. He does it for the passion. So why would he do that match, especially after that Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania, knowing that that was a bad match with a guy that has great ring conditioning, wrestles the entire year? Why would Undertaker, a guy who admittedly in the documentary cares about what people think of his performances, why would he sign to do a match with Goldberg? What was the reasoning for it? He says it's not for the money, but I want to know why. I want to hear it from the man himself. So looking forward to hearing about the Goldberg match for sure. And so far it's been really interesting. Tony H with the $2 super chat, thank you, Tony, says, who's the best Universal Champion all time for you? Unfortunately, there have not been a lot of great Universal Champions. I would probably say Kevin Owens had the best run, even though he kept winning by a fluke. Maybe Roman Reigns, although his reign got cut short by the leukemia announcement. And yeah, the title has just been cursed, whether it's injuries or people winning that really should not be holding the title. The Fiend's was pretty good until he got beat by Goldberg. So yeah, it's tough to pick one. It really is. Hamp Kano with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Hamp. I really do appreciate it. He says, for me, it's because Corbin gets put in positions he doesn't deserve, like being Angle's last match and winning King of the Ring. Plus, he's just so boring and his feuds go on forever. Plus, his promos put me to sleep. Well, I definitely agree about the promos going on forever. I think that's a pretty valid argument. And yeah, the Angle thing too. I just remember people wanting Angle versus Cena and being let down by that. And unfortunately, they take it out on Corbin for real. They're like, I'm pissed off at this guy, even though it's not Corbin's decision. He's being booked in that position. And fans take it out on Corbin, which sucks for him. And plus, he's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, I think people associate the lowest points of WWE now with Baron Corbin. You think back to the Raw GM, the temporary Raw GM, whatever it was, the interim GM with Corbin, the numbers creatively, WWE was in a bad spot. And that's when they brought in the McMahon family to say, we're going to start listening to the people. That was when Corbin was running roughshod over Raw. So yeah, Corbin's just wrong place at the wrong time. There's a lot of factors with him, unfortunately. I think he's a really solid wrestler. I mean, I think he's really good. He's a really good worker. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, TJS's toilet is more over than the Forgotten Sons. Damn, that one was pretty savage. That might be the most savage line of the night. And Keith Johnson with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Keith. He says, desperate for a faction, hear me out, Aaron, a faction with ugly guys waging war against people they perceive as pretty or handsome. That's an interesting storyline. It might be a little bit of a touchy subject in 2020 because everybody's beautiful now. Who would sign up for that? Who would have the guts to sign up for an ugly faction? It would be something different, I'll say that much. Maybe they could do something where it's the guys that think they're ugly, but they're actually not. The guys with the self-confidence issues. could be in that faction, and that, that could be like a social commentary, that people should respect others that look down on their looks, even though most people think they look good, but they don't see it themselves. It could be an interesting storyline to do it that way. But yeah, I think that would be something different at least. Caleb Jacobs, my man from Oregon with a $5 super chat, says, does Crime Time deserve to go into the Hall of Fame? I'm going to say no. I know right now it's not the most popular answer, but they were a fun mid-card tag team, but I don't think that they were an elite tag team in wrestling history. Coco Beware went in. I know I said that all the time. Bushwhackers went in, so Crime Time going in, I could see it happening, but I'd have to go with no. And I think the guys are entertaining, and obviously it's very depressing about Shad, but I would not put Crime Time into the Hall of Fame just because Shad passed away. If anything, give Shad the Warrior Award this year for wanting his son to be rescued before him. Like, I think WWE should do that. If they're going to give Shad a recognition, give him the Warrior Award. And by the way, where was the video package for him? I just saw the graphic, but unless I missed something, which I don't think I did, there was no video package or anything. Like, I would have liked that with the tweets and everything. Maybe having the footage of him and MVP reacting to Kofi winning the WWE title at WrestleMania. Like, there was none of that. So I don't understand why they didn't even do that for him. Let's see here. What do we got? Josh Mansfield with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Josh. Says, Jillian Hall's singing is more over than Baron Corbin. All right, let's not get carried away here. I do not think I would go that far. But, I mean, maybe Jillian Hall's singing is more over than EC3 at the moment. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, DJ. He says, what's up, Aaron? Sorry to go off topic, but do you know how we can get Double or Nothing tomorrow night if we got an Android or a smart TV? Well, if you have the Bleacher Report app, which it should be available on Android or smart TV, but that I do not know for sure. I cannot confirm that on the spot here, but I would think that Bleacher Report, the app, is available on most devices. You need the Bleacher Report app. That's all you need. You download it, you make an account, and you could buy the pay-per-view right off the app. If you live outside the United States, you use the Fight TV app to buy the pay-per-view. So hopefully that helps. I'm not even sure if it's on traditional pay-per-view or not, but I know you can get it on the Bleacher Report app. Ken Terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Ken. He says, if the Bushwhackers are in the Hall of Fame, then Crime Time can go in. You never know. By the way, Riff, thank you for stealing my super chat about the Warrior Award. Not a problem, Ken. If WWE wants to go political, they can induct Crime Time, but I would rather WWE did not induct people just because they passed away. Oofman says Bleacher Report app is on Apple TV. And Caleb Jacobs, my man from Oregon, with a $5 super chat, says JTG returning and winning the United States Championship in honor of Shad Gaspard. I don't think WWE is going to bring back JTG, although it would be cool for him to maybe do a little video that WWE could air on television, like something more than just a graphic. I think because of the circumstances, at least acknowledge the guy. You know, it's not like he died from a drug overdose and you don't want the negative publicity. If anything, this is good publicity that, and I hate to say this too, talking about good publicity because somebody died, but I'm just thinking from WWE's perspective, like showing, hey, this guy was a hero. People looked up to this guy and he went out in an honorable way, like, you know, makes wrestlers look respectable. So I'm a little surprised that WWE did not do more than they did on SmackDown for him. Ken Terminated by Google says maybe JTG can win the 24/7 title. Nah, I'd rather see nobody win the 24/7 title. I'm hoping that's on ice permanently and that's gone. I really do not want to see the return of the 24/7 championship. I really don't. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I appreciate the viewership and please spread the word. Tell a friend about the live streams. I will be back tomorrow night. If you're not ordering the pay-per-view, I will be doing a live recap, live play-by-play results on NoDQ.com. So stay tuned for that and tune in tomorrow night for my thoughts on Double or Nothing. Take care, everybody. Be safe and stay positive. See you next time.